Good evening. My name is Mangani. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the Wallace Memorias. I'm being joined tonight by a portion of our staff. We have Nico Cordova Padino. We have Sarah Cruz, Mario Mercado, who are community organizers. And we have Victor Cardozo, our Prevention and Special Projects Supervisor. As we come together on this special day, on World AIDS Day, we ask that you remember those who have perished from COVID-19. As Nico and Mari light this candle in memory of those whom we have lost, we're going to take a second to ask you for a moment of silence in reflection of those that we've lost. Thank you very much. And now, a great supporter who has always opened our World AIDS Day events with his amazing musical talent. We're going to welcome to the stage Manuel Sanchez. Thank you, Manuel. And now I would like to introduce our Mistress of Ceremonies, a friend who has been with us for the past 18 years and a trusted source of local news in Southern California. Please welcome to the stage, Laura Diaz.
Thank you, Andreas. It's truly my pleasure to be here today. I know that we have something like 600 people that are here for World AIDS Day. Here we are under a beautiful Southern California sky. And it's such a blessing that even during COVID, we're here today to commemorate this day. It's such an honor to be with all of you, people I consider friends here at the Wallace Memorias, for the rededication ceremony of this beautiful AIDS monument. Now, on this World AIDS Day, which is commemorated throughout the world to remember those who have been lost to this horrible disease, we recommit ourselves to ending HIV once and for all. As Andreas introduced me, he reminded you, of course, this is my 18th year of being here. And I'm so honored to be asked back by my dear friend Richard and to be part of this program that has helped people so very much. What it has meant here on the East Side can't even really be expressed in words. It's something of the heart. It's so dear to people. And Richard, you've been such a light in this community. We love you. The work that has gone on in this organization has been like no other. Today marks the 28th anniversary of the Wallace Memorias. This organization has created history throughout the world by constructing an AIDS monument in a public park right in the middle of our Latino community. That's right. Tonight, we will commemorate, but also celebrate this achievement. As part of the week-long celebration, the Wallace Memorias and the Hollywood United Methodist Church honored those who provide care to AIDS patients for the past 40 years. Think about that. 4 decades of people being committed to helping others. Earlier today, riders from the AIDS life cycle dedicated their morning ride from Griffith Park to the AIDS monument and paused in silence and prayer for remembrance of World AIDS Day. We thank you for sharing this important day with all of us. And now to officially start the evening, we are very honored to have the Bishop of Episcopal Church of the Los Angeles Diocese, the Right Reverend John Taylor, to lead us in the invocation. Reverend?
Thank you, Laura. Let us pray. Oremos. God of love and ultimate healing, Dios omnipotente, we gather in the midst of pandemic and recall our pandemic of fear, bigotry, and neglect 40 years ago. The Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument bears more names of your precious children than it should. In the early years of the HIV/AIDS emergency, vital time was wasted by faith institutions, governments, and opinion leaders who were more interested in identifying scapegoats than finding treatments and cures. En los primeros años de la crisis de SIDA, muchos en el poder dedicaron su tiempo a culpar a las víctimas en lugar de buscar una cura. Como en la pandemia de hoy, la gente murió porque nuestros líderes nacionales fallaron. May this monument be an eternal reminder of everyone we lost to HIV/AIDS, as well as everything we learned. By your grace, whenever our neighbor is sick or in need, we will resolve to listen rather than lecture, help rather than judge, and act always in the name of your mercy, justice, and love. En nuestro tiempo, la pandemia también lastimó a algunas personas más que a otras, y nuevamente puso al descubierto injusticias profundamente arraigadas. Your people give you their thanks tonight for the blessing of learning from our mistakes, of better mediating your justice, of more reliably acting in the name of your love for all your people. Continue to bless Richard, founder and executive director, and all who helped give dimension to his powerful vision of this sacred place. Oremos en tu nombre, we pray in your mighty name. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Taylor, for that beautiful blessing upon us. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Is everybody warm? I know I am. You know, it's just all heart here, and that will keep you warm. So as we begin the evening, we are excited to share that during tonight's program, you'll hear inspiring remarks from distinguished community leaders from throughout LA. You'll see incredible performances by talented artists and hear a few words from people impacted by the Las Memorias AIDS Monument. And thank you to our streaming partner, Life. Is that right? Life, a multi-platform dedicated to eliminating the stigma of HIV while raising awareness about HIV/AIDS testing, prevention, treatment, and education by bringing these conversations into the mainstream. Following the ceremony, we invite you to join us for a post-reception at Plaza de la Raza, and feel free to take photos and upload them to your social media platforms. I know you want to do that. You want to be part of the story. To get the night started, we'd like to introduce you to two very special people who will help guide the organization and its mission. Their leadership and commitment to community service is parallel to their dedication to the cause. She is CEO and president of Community Connections, and he is director of community outreach and engagement at Cedars-Sinai Ocean Comprehensive Cancer Institute. Let's give it up for co-chairs of the Wallace Memorias Board of Directors, Teresa Martinez and Zol Starani. A warm welcome, please.
Thank you so much, Laura. We are so happy and blessed to have all of you here tonight. On behalf of Zul and myself, I would like to thank our tremendous staff at the Wallace Memorias, our volunteers, and our clients for the work that went into creating tonight's event. I would also like to acknowledge our amazing, hardworking board members. Fellow board members, please stand for an applause.
We also want to acknowledge and thank tremendous support from our sponsors for this event. They are presenting sponsor Gilead, angel level sponsor Dignity Health, and the University of Southern California, USC. Other sponsors include Pharma, Prime Mobile Healthcare, Aetna, T-Mobile, Charles Dunn, Kaiser Permanente, Molina Healthcare, UCLA Health, Avita, California Community Foundation, Cedars-Sinai, HealthNet, SoCal Gas, Verizon, Warner Media, Weingart Foundation, Western Dental and Orthodontics, R. Christine Hershey, and Alfred Frejo Jr. and Arturo Becerra Frejo. This evening's event is already a tremendous success because of your presence. Thank you again. And now we would like to share with you an overview of the work we do at the Wallace Memorias. Thank you.
Wallace Memorias is a community health and wellness organization dedicated to serving Latino, LGBTQ, and other underserved populations through advocacy, education, and building the next generation of leadership. Founded in 1993, the Wallace Memorias has excelled in educating and mobilizing Los Angeles communities around ending stigma against LGBTQ individuals and people living with HIV. After successfully galvanizing community support, including faith leaders, unions, small businesses, and community leaders, the Wallace Memorias built the first publicly funded AIDS monument in the nation in 2004. For more than 28 years, the organization has served its purpose of creating dialogue using the Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument as a catalyst for social change, bringing to the forefront the importance of HIV and other health issues to the greater Latino community. The work of the Wallace Memorias addresses cultural factors such as stigma and bigotry that impede Latinos from getting access to services and information. Today, the Wallace Memorias continues its mission to end the HIV epidemic through direct services that include HIV testing and counseling, support groups for a wide range of vulnerable populations, and supportive services in mental health and substance abuse prevention. The Wallace Memorias is uniquely positioned to not only provide services that are needed, but also works on the edge of policy and systems change. The impact of our social justice advocacy has been recognized on the local, state, and national levels. Guided by the leadership of its founder and executive director, Richard Zaldivar, the Wallace Memorias team has made an impact on the lives of millions of community members in Los Angeles and beyond.
You know, for many years, Gilead has supported the HIV community throughout this country. And the mission of the Wallace Memorias to end HIV/AIDS in our community. They've made contributions in bioscience. They've helped people stay alive throughout the world. Amazing, amazing contribution. And they have also supported community-based organizations like ours throughout the nation. We are very, very appreciative of their support. As the presenting sponsor of tonight's event, let's welcome Christina Carlos, who is the Vice President of Global Marketing for Gilead Sciences. Warm welcome, please.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here with all of you tonight on the occasion of the rededication of the wall Las Memorias. This is a true one-of-a-kind in that it's the first publicly funded AIDS memorial. And we're so proud to be a presenting sponsor tonight and to support the communities where we work and live, especially here in Los Angeles, and to support the Latino community here in Los Angeles. But today we find ourselves in a very different place than we did in 2004 when the monument was first dedicated. But at the same time, as we emerge from this last pandemic, we emerge from our homes, rejoining our communities, rejoining in persons. There's certain things that haven't changed, and that is the needs for care, the need for recognition, and the need for community, but most importantly, the need for memory. Today, as we mark 40 years since the world first came to know HIV, it is striking to reflect how far we've come. In the early days of the epidemic, HIV was a death sentence, and look where we are today. So the wall Las Memorias serves as a sobering reminder of our brothers and sisters who lost our lives as a result of HIV. As we all gather here today, we are very familiar with the fact that this epidemic disproportionately harmed the LGBTQ community groups, communities of color, and marginalized people worldwide. But the wall also serves as a beautiful reminder of the unwavering strength and the resilience of the survivors and the caregivers, those who are living with HIV. And as a society, we must ensure that people living with HIV receive the care, support, and the solutions they need to thrive and to have a happy life. All of us at Gilead are working on what's next, the path forward for better treatment, for better care, and all that we can do to end the epidemic. We're committing to pursuing new treatments for both prevention and treatment, such as long-acting antivirals, and most importantly, we're not going to rest until we find a cure for everybody, everywhere. But we know that the science is not enough. And as we stand here in this community, we know that access is really, really important. We need to continue to partner with our allies, like the wall Las Memorias, and really fight the root causes of the HIV epidemic that are still very prevalent today: stigma, inequity, misinformation. As we celebrate or really commemorate 40 years of what the first time that the world came to know HIV, the theme this year is ending the HIV epidemic, equitable access, everyone's voice. We want to amplify the voices of our communities and people taking part in grassroots efforts. Their ability to make a difference should not be underestimated. It is incredibly powerful. Gilead is continuing with our efforts to work together with service organizations, government, and nonprofits to bolster awareness and help educate those who are at the greatest risk and impacted by HIV today. That's why we're so proud to stand here today and support the wall Las Memorias, because Las Memorias bridges us all together by connecting communities in need around Los Angeles, and the group certainly uplifts the voices so that we can work together for societal change. We need to change hearts and minds, and this is the best way to do it. Telling the stories of the people who fought the epidemic in the last 40 years, telling the stories of those who lost, and telling the stories of those who thrived. Gilead is very proud to be here today, and we're very proud to take part of this work. Thank you for having us.
Christina, thank you so much for your words. We really do appreciate your support. And now, a familiar face in the fight against HIV is our own national leader who has dedicated his life to fighting HIV and AIDS and is the director of the LA County Department of Health Services Office of HIV and STDs. It is always a pleasure to introduce Mario Perez. Mario?
Thank you, Laura. Good evening. Buenas noches. On behalf of the LA County Department of Public Health's Division of HIV and STD Programs, I join you in remembering the more than 38,000 LA County residents, sons and daughters, mamás y papás, brothers and sisters, esposos, wives, friends, maestros, colleagues, abuelos y abuelas, who have succumbed to HIV. Many of their names are on the walls behind us. And I join you as we stand in support of the more than 57,000 LA County residents living with HIV and the more than 5,000 residents who are unaware of their HIV infection, but whom we are eager to diagnose and link to care as soon as possible. This night in Lincoln Park, for so many years and for so many people, is deeply personal. It offers a space for reflection and recommitment. And tonight, it offers a space to rededicate, a wonderful symbol of remembrance, hope, and resilience. In the midst of one global epidemic, COVID, we redouble our efforts to end another, an HIV epidemic that has for 40 years shone a bright light on the role that injustice, stigma, fear, and shame play in exacerbating health inequities, not just here in LA, but all over the world. To Richard and our family at the Wallace Memorias, thank you again for your vision, persistence, and undying commitment to foster community engagement and action. We remain indebted. A few years ago, we released the Los Angeles County HIV/AIDS strategy for 2020 and beyond, with a theme, once and for all, de una vez y para todos. Our bold goal setting, our collective roadmap guided by 4 pillars of the Ending the HIV Epidemic Initiative: test, treat, prevent, and respond, our focused interventions, and our expanded community engagement and mobilization efforts are showing promise, but our progress is tempered. More than ever, our progress against HIV is predicated on our ability as a community, de una vez y para todos, to also overcome the ravages of undiagnosed and untreated mental illness, meth and opiate use disorder, homelessness, and racism. As the complexity of our charge increases, so must the breadth and depth of our community and public-private partnerships. To channel MLK Jr., we still need the tireless exertions and passionate concerns of dedicated individuals. There is still no time for apathy and complacency. This is still a time for vigorous and positive action. So tonight, as we remember and rededicate and resolve to forge ahead on the road to ending the HIV epidemic, I invite you to lean on each other, our leaders, and the vast complement of partners committed to improving the human condition. to do more. ¿Por qué? Porque sí se puede. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce Commander Michelle Sandoval Rosario from the U.S. Public Health Service and Director of the HHS Region 9 Prevention Through Active Community Engagement, or PACE, program, who will also offer brief remarks. Gracias.
Thank you, Mario. I'm a little shorter than Mario, so I got to bring this down. Good evening, everyone. What an honor to be here with all of you on this beautiful night to celebrate such a special event. And I will say, this is my first face-to-face event since the pandemic started, so bear with me. And I'm very excited to do it here in my hometown, so this is awesome. I first want to begin by thanking Richard for the invitation to be part of the celebration today and congratulate him and his team for all their hard work in putting together the rededication of the Wallace Las Memorias AIDS Monument, a place we can continue to heal and honor the more than 36 million people globally who have died from AIDS-related illnesses since the beginning of the HIV epidemic over 40 years ago this last June. This year's World AIDS Day theme, Ending the HIV Epidemic, Equity Access, Everyone's Voice, reminds us of the need to address health inequalities and to ensure the voices of people with and at risk for HIV are center to our response. So they must be part of the planning and the discussion. I am excited to announce that today, on World AIDS Day, the White House published the National HIV/AIDS Strategy. And this strategy provides stakeholders like us with a roadmap to accelerate and straighten our efforts to end the HIV epidemic in the U.S. by 2030, and we will get there. The strategy incorporates diverse voices, including the LGBTQ+ community, and reflects the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to re-energize, straighten, and expand a whole-of-society response to the HIV epidemic in the U.S. The plan also reflects the administration's priority to put equity at the center of all of our response. This means eliminating HIV-related stigma, discrimination, homophobia, transphobia, criminalization, expand and improve access to health coverage, and address social determinants of health that drive HIV risk and outcomes. The updated strategy challenges us to address the larger issues, those systemic issues, behavioral health, mental health, systemic racism, discrimination, poverty, homeless, because if we don't address those factors, we will not end HIV. I also want to highlight some key changes in the updated plan that you'll see. The plan recognizes racism as a serious public health threat, puts greater emphasis on the important roles of harm reduction, adds a new focus on the needs of the growing population of people with HIV who are aging, and calls for expanding engagement of people with lived experience. Finally, on behalf of the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health, we thank you all for everything you do every day. And Richard, thank you for your team and the amazing work that you guys have done here in LA, and it is recognized nationally. So thank you all so much for all your work. It is now my honor to introduce Mr. Harold Phillips, the Director for the White House Office of National AIDS Policy, who has recorded a few remarks. And I was a little upset with him because I say, you're not going to visit our City of Angels? So we hope to have him here soon. Thank you again for this opportunity to share a few words, and congratulations, the Wallace Las Memorias.
On behalf of the White House Office of National AIDS Policy, we congratulate the rededication of the Wall Las Memorias AIDS Monument, and we commit AIDS Monument in the nation as a place in a creative manner that brings HIV out of the closet of shame to a place of peace and honor. We thank you for your efforts in bringing the people of Los Angeles together for this special moment during the commemoration of the 40 years of AIDS. President Joe Biden and his administration are committed in working with you in bringing an end to HIV once and for all. And to learn more about the administration's national HIV/AIDS strategy, please go to hiv.gov. You have shown that by bringing together people, that when we work together, dreams and miracles do come true. Thank you and good night.
All right. Thank you so much for that message. I have another introduction to make. So to introduce our next sponsor, we are very happy to have another member of the board of directors for the Wallace Memorias. He is the medical director of the Pasadena Liver Center and the CEO of the California Liver Institute. He is a renowned specialist in this field and a generous contributor to the board of directors. We welcome Dr. Edward Mena.
Thank you, Laura.
Welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everybody here. The Wallace Memorias is proud to have worked with USC Keck campus for the past 12 years. Representing one of our angel sponsors for tonight's event, we are so happy and proud to have the 12th president of USC and holder of the Robert C. Packard Presidential Chair, Carol Folt. She is a collaborative academic leader, a life scientist with faculty appointments in marine and environmental biology, civil and environmental engineering, and preventative medicine. But most important of all, she is our friend. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome Dr. Carol Folt, President of USC.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It is actually such an honor, it's humbling, and it's so moving to be here with all of you this evening as we celebrate this amazing, amazing monument. And I really want to congratulate Richard. This is such a testimony to perseverance and care and hope and love. And the monument just stands as the first publicly funded AIDS monument in the nation. It was my privilege to see it for the first time with you today. And I am so touched by the beauty and can't wait to come back again. Seeing this in a public park is really such an example for what I think we would like to see across the nation so that people could learn from art and from history and memory. It honors, of course, the memories and the courage of loved ones who have died from AIDS. It also honors those who have been the caregivers, the families, the researchers, the activists, the people in the hospitals and in the local communities, all who have been working to help deal with this long-standing pandemic, and it also is helping give us hope as we seek for a cure to AIDS. And the monument itself shines as a light thanks to all the leadership of so many leaders from Los Angeles who are here tonight. And it is a real symbol of rebirth. And I think that's something that we all feel, especially as we're coming out into the light again after COVID. And that, of course, extends to the entire Las Memorias community and the board of directors. So you've given a real gift to the world with the work here. I know it started as a dream and it has transformed into a movement. And that's something that we really want to honor tonight. For more than 28 years, helping to eradicate the stigma and the bigotry around AIDS and HIV. And beyond that, to create a safer space for dialogue where people can come together for community building, education, prevention services in Los Angeles and beyond. And that is a beacon of hope. You now tackle health disparities and gaps in access to care. And I think that it's clear to everyone that this monument serves as a beacon for that type of socially active work. I know that I'm in a room where everybody, in an area where everybody shares the thought that healthcare is not a right. Healthcare is a right. It isn't just a privilege. And it's up to all of us to continue to work until that is true. And in the communities here for USC, as well as the Wallace Memorias, we're shoulder to shoulder in trying to make sure that that becomes true. Now, when I came to USC, I began to learn a lot about USC's research in HIV/AIDS, which has been going on for decades. One of our distinguished professors, Professor Paula Cannon, I think many of you know her, is leading a national effort to find gene therapy treatment for HIV so we can move past daily medicines. Our school associate dean for social justice, another person I know many of you know, Ricky Blumenthal, is looking at the complex ways that drug addiction, homelessness, and HIV infection are linked. And we have a center in our School of Social Work that sole purpose is dedicated to studying the health equity for the LGBTQ community. But that's really just part of what's going on. Other examples, because I think they illustrate the fact that this is a community effort that we put together, both at our university, but here in Los Angeles, can be seen at our Gould School of Law. Many of you may know Professor David Cruz. He co-authored the first textbook that focused on the legal treatment of transgender, gender non-conforming, and non-binary individuals to fight for their rights. Dr. Paul Nash at the School of Gerontology, who's also a commissioner on the LA County Commission on HIV, is working on multiple projects to combat key misperceptions and misconceptions about people with HIV. And for example, he says we think of HIV often as a young person's issue, but it's simply not true. Nearly 60% of Angelenos with HIV are over 50. So we need to understand the community context in which we're fighting hard for people. And finally, the last one I wanted to mention is that USC is the home of what is called One National Gay and Lesbian Archives. And this is the single largest repository of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer materials in the world. It has thousands of artifacts on HIV/AIDS crisis, and we need to be able to use those. This is about both memory and fighting for a future that is free of AIDS and HIV. And finally, I think everyone not only uses their tools and their analytical skills, but it comes down to using your heart in this work. And I've been moved by all the stories I've heard here tonight. And I wanted to share one from a longtime professor at the School of Social Work at USC, Helen Land. In 1986, Helen was asked to run a support group for young gay male caregivers who were living with HIV. She then started volunteering at the AIDS Project in Los Angeles. It was her experience having lost students and friends to AIDS. It affected her so profoundly that she changed entirely her area of scholarship to study HIV/AIDS, and she became the senior editor of the Journal of HIV/AIDS and Social Services. And Helen says that my volunteering changed lives, most particularly my own. So that type of important work, what we all stand for, we all know that to give is to receive. And I know that that is how everyone here feels. It's an important privilege to be able to do the work that we do, the work that you all do to help improve people's lives and their chances. Keeping those experiences alive, those memories so clear, celebrating with art in the center of Los Angeles is a truly wonderful enterprise. And I can't help but say again, congratulations to the Wallace Memorias on this beautiful rededication. It's a very special moment to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Full, for your comments tonight. And Congratulations on the new coach. Way to go. Okay, and now to the council member of the 1st District of the City of LA, a friend to many of us, who first supported the Wall Las Memorias by obtaining $400,000 in the year 2000 from the state of California for the construction of the AIDS monument. This was huge to the movement. Well, recently, he led the effort for an allocation of $500,000 from the City of LA for the renovation of this project. So that's dedication followed by rededication. Let's give a warm welcome to the LA City Council member, Gilbert Cedillo.
Let's hear it for Laura Diaz. We're so proud of her. She represents us. She has such a great story, and she just does such a wonderful job, and it's a pleasure to see her here every year. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. It's cold. I know all of us are cold. If you're not, I'd be worried. I just want to begin, and I thank you for the gracious introduction. Actually, my relationship and history with the wall begins when it began in 1993. One day I was a young CEO of a nonprofit in South LA. It was the Service Employees International Union, Local 660. And I literally opened a letter, looked at my mail after work, and saw a hand-typed letter that I had received talking about this concept of the wall. So can you imagine that? This goes back to when we were receiving mail that was hand-typed. And I read this letter that was very compelling. And so Richard will recall, I picked up the phone, as I frequently do, and just called him up and said, hey, this is a great idea. How can we help? And of course, Richard was sitting there at wherever he was at his desk, and he took the call. And so he went into this long conversation about the vision and what we could do. And I mentioned to him that I was the head of this union and that we had resources, and I would take it to my board. And I thought that was the most natural thing to do. We had been successful in a strike, and we had worked with activists from ACT UP. We had fought hard on behalf of the nurses at General Hospital. And so for us to build this alliance seemed like the most natural thing. It was part of our strategic response in the labor movement at the time. And so I took it to my board, and it was a very progressive board, and they said, yes, do this. And they gave money, and it was something that we supported. I thought, well, this is great. Later on, Richard gave me an award. I didn't understand why. And he said, well, you were the only union to endorse the wall. And I thought everybody would do it. So congratulations, Richard. The coalition that you've built, the institution that's been built by the wall, is really what we need today. These lessons that emerge from the evolution of the wall are so important today, because the challenges that we confronted at that time, ignorance, just simple stupidity, bigotry, hate, all these that interfered with science, with our efforts to heal people, to bring people together, all those lessons that we battled in the 80s, we must take forward today. They're so important for us to go forward, to think about as we go forward. I want to thank a couple of friends who are here today. Dan Guerrero, where are you? Always so professional, such a great leader in our community. I thank you for your mentorship and your leadership over all these decades. I remember being a volunteer with you with the Latino Theater Company. I want to thank Brenda Lanfiesta, where are you, who introduced me to many of the issues back 30, 40 years ago. I'm going to stop at 40. But I want to thank you for your leadership and friendship. Obviously, Esteban Torres is not here. He could not be with us today, but we want to thank him for his leadership while he was on the board. And I want to talk about what we did when we did this 400,000 and did the first opening, because courage is so critical to us going forward as a community. And what's important about that is that we never know when we're going to be given that opportunity. And this is what I love about the wall, is that you get this opportunity to be courageous, to lead, and then to, at some point, have an evening like this with the rededication. But Ed Reyes is not here tonight. And Ed Reyes really took a lot of heat, because when I was in Sacramento, moving this through the process, getting the support, we got $1 million. Richard and I strategized and plotted, and we wanted $500,000, and so we asked for $1 million, and we got the $1 million, and then through the legislative process, as it goes in Sacramento, it turned into $500,000. And then just as the check was going to come out the door, the governor called me and said, I need $100,000, Gil. He's the governor. So obviously I said, okay, Governor, what am I going to say? No. And so we gave $400,000. We had to go back to Ed Reyes and to Mike Hernandez and ask them for their support. And it's tragic in some ways, but it's a lesson for us to learn. They were courageous because today we're here and I see all these faith-based leaders and the moral leadership of our community. But that wasn't the case when we first did this. And it was a really difficult challenge. And for all of us who are faith-based and have faith and believe in God and want to do the right thing, it was difficult for us to have this conflict with the local churches and many of the parishioners. And so it was a real challenge, and it really provided this opportunity for leadership to emerge. And so I want to thank, he's not here, Ed Reyes. I want to thank all those who were involved in it at that time. And then finally, let me say that for the future, that we have to realize that the lesson of the wall is that community matters, and that we must stand up as a community, and we must challenge bigotry and hate at every opportunity. And it's amazing that we have in the city of Los Angeles, for example, workers who continue to resist being vaccinated. And they don't want to be vaccinated, and they want to ignore the science. And it's like amazing, because we have such a historic lesson right here at the wall that tells us that the science matters. And so thank you, that the science matters, that unity matters, that we should come together as a community. Now we have the latest variant today, the first case in California. We need to be united as we go forward in the struggle. And finally, for all things, always is the question of hope and faith. Faith is the belief in knowing that while we may not see things, in our pursuit of justice, that we will be successful. And that is what is our faith. So I thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. God bless you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Another warm hand for Councilman Cedillo. The Wallace Memorias has been blessed to have tremendous support from trailblazers in the areas of politics and government. Now, our next speaker is responsible for the allocation of $350,000 from the County of LA to support the renovation of the AIDS monument. She is the daughter of a working class family from Nicaragua and Mexico who has worked hard to serve all the communities of which she represents. She's a great public servant. Now, she served as the Rio Hondo Board of Trustees, both chambers of the California State Legislature, a United States Congresswoman, is a former U.S. Department of Labor Secretary, and the first woman to win the John F. Kennedy Profile Encourage Award. She is one of LA's very finest on the LA County Board of Supervisors representing the 1st District. As you can tell, she is one busy woman. Please give a warm round of applause to Supervisor Hilda Solis.
Thank you, Ana. Muchas gracias. What a wonderful evening, and I really just want to say a big thank you to one of my heroes, and that's Richard Zaldivar. Without you, I don't think we would all be here. So let's give it up for Richard. Richard, un hermano, gran hermano. I started thinking about what I would say tonight, and I went back a couple of years, and then I thought, oh my God, it's more than 25 years that I've known you, Richard, and our paths have crossed in Sacramento and here throughout the district, and most recently now working on other issues on mental health and HIV and AIDS, continuing to do that, and the homeless issue that faces us here in Los Angeles County. But you have been one of those stalwart individuals who's always fought so hard to make sure that our Latino community had the necessities, the services, and you made sure that the different departments from LA County were a part of that. I know you have a very, very close relationship also with public health, but also with mental health and with many of our other services. You've been an outstanding leader for all of us for so many years, and I know without you, we wouldn't have this cadre of people, new leaders that are coming up that are going to help us fight to eradicate HIV and AIDS. And I'm so happy and proud that we have a new administration in Washington that agrees with us. Qué bueno. I am just so happy. And I was so happy to see you have then candidate Biden come down here and meet with you as he was doing his campaign. And I'm so grateful that you were a big part of that, and acknowledging and letting him know how important our community was. That's just as much a part of leadership, that you are selfless, that you share, and you continue to move things. And you're a mover and a shaker. Not just that, an advocate, but an hermano to many of us. And I want to also mention someone who you knew, who was very dear to you and to me, and that was my sister, Dr. Beatriz Solis, who worked for the California Endowment and did so much of her research early on in her studies at UCLA as a student on HIV and AIDS. And I know she's looking down and smiling at you right now, Richard, and all the work that you've done. Quite frankly, we have so much more to do. I was aware that you were in need of funds to help meet your goal, to help restore this beautiful memorial. And so I felt that it was something that we had to do, something greater than just the district that I represent here in East LA and right here in La Plaza, but really making a statement that the county should always be a part of memorializing and historically putting a face on those individuals that lost their lives because of HIV and AIDS, and not to lose sight of who they are. As we go through this pandemic now, we also have to remember those individuals as well. So we have a big journey and a lot of work to do. And I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I was very pleased that I could make $350,000 available through my discretionary funding. And we know we have to do more. We know that. But now we have partners in Sacramento and also Washington, D.C. So just know that I'll continue to support you and your efforts. And I always look to you for where the next project's going to be. So, hermano, I'd like to present you with something at this time. Por favor, if you'll join me up here, Richard. On behalf of the County of Los Angeles, I'm still chair of the board, at least for a week. I'll still represent the first district, but as chairwoman, representing the 10 million people in Los Angeles County. And a good number of them, by the way, 48% are Latinos. And many of them I know are so proud of you and know of the great work that you've done. So on behalf of the County of Los Angeles, to the wall, Las Memorias, on your AIDS monument rededication, we celebrate with you con todo corazón. Thank you, Richard. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis. I'm so honored to have you here today and for your comments. Well, next we would like to call up to the podium someone who we are very proud of, who's worked hand in hand with the organization this past year, and who takes pride in hosting the Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument at Lincoln Park. He is the executive officer and chief staff for the Los Angeles Department of Parks and Rec, and is the assistant general manager. Let's welcome to the stage Anthony Paul Diaz, no relation, also known as AP Diaz. And guess what? My middle initial is P too.
Yeah.
You can call me LP.
I will.
I'll call you AP.
All right, LP,
All right.
I like that. Thank you all very much. Well, welcome to your park, our park, Lincoln Park, here in the heart of Los Angeles. This park dates all the way back to the 1800s, and you are sitting tonight on dedicated parkland, which means that it is forever in trust for the public to enjoy. It can never be anything but open space and a place of respite in this city. And in this past year, I've had the pleasure of working with the board, those of you who are here tonight, and of course, Richard, on this amazing rededication ceremony. We believe in LA that your parks should be places of respite, of calm, of reflection, of play, of wonderment. And what a fitting place that here we can have this glorious monument now dating back over 2 decades with so much heartfelt intention. And as we come through, in and out of the pandemic, we're reminded of why the importance of this memorial stands. It's to be an everlasting memory, to remind us of lives lost and of future hopes and dreams for cures to come. And so as long as there is Lincoln Park in the city of Los Angeles, there will be the Las Memorias wall here for many generations to enjoy. So we want you to enjoy your parks, to know that they are places for you to come and reflect and to enjoy this blessed life we have in Los Angeles. So I'm thankful for all of the partnerships that we have, but this one is extremely special to us in LA Parks because it is a reminder of what parks should embody, and that is a dedication to memory and everlasting service to the City of Angels. And you're all angels in the City of Angels. So thank you very much for being here in our park, your park. Enjoy your evening, and let's rededicate this memorial for many more generations to come and many more years here in Lincoln Park. Thank you.
Thanks, AP. Are you feeling good? My heart is full. I know that yours is too. We'd like you to turn your attention to our video monitors for a brief story of the Las Memorias AIDS Monument.
The Las Memorias was founded by Richard Zaldivar on December 1st, 1993. Utilizing his expertise as a community activist, Richard set off to mobilize the community around the construction of an AIDS monument that would serve as a focal point of discussion within the Latino community. The AIDS monument soon became a conversation tool about HIV and sparked dialogue around the need for broader prevention services for Latinos in Los Angeles County. Under Richard's leadership, the organization reached out to faith leaders, business owners, union leaders, and elected officials to harness support around the project. After many years of tears and sweat, the organization was finally able to secure support from one of those elected officials, then Assemblymember Gil Cedillo. In 1999, then Assemblymember Gil Cedillo requested $400,000 from the state of California for the construction of the monument, and legislation was then signed into law by Governor Gray Davis. On December 1st, 2004, after an almost 10-year-long battle with opposition, the first publicly funded AIDS monument in the nation was dedicated before thousands of supporters and community leaders. Today, the Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument stands in the heart of the Latino community, with over 1,500 names etched onto it, a reflection of the amount of devastation and loss that the AIDS epidemic has had on our community for the past 40 years. The monument was designed by architect David Angelo and public artist Robin Brailsford. A community advisory board selected the Lincoln Park site based upon its rich cultural and artistic history within the Latino community. Community leaders also recognized its proximity to the Rand Schrader AIDS Clinic at LAC USC Hospital in their selection of the site. The Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument was designed in the shape of the Quetzalcoatl serpent, an Aztec symbol for rebirth. The monument consists of 8 wall panels, 6 murals depicting life with AIDS in the Latino community, and 2 granite panels that contain the names of individuals who have died from AIDS. Due to wear and tear of the community landmark, the organization and its leadership determined that it was time for a renovation of the monument. Today, the Wallace Memorias AIDS Monument has completed an $850,000 renovation project with funding from Los Angeles City Councilmember Gil Cedillo and from Supervisor Hilda Solis of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. Led by Perry Cardoza of Newest Landscape Architecture, the renovation called for a number of upgrades, including a new irrigation system, state-of-the-art LED lighting, new walkways, and fresh landscaping, which includes 15 fully grown trees and a variety of LA native plants. While the construction faced unforeseen hurdles caused by COVID-19 in 2020, the renovation was completed in time for the rededication on this World AIDS Day, coinciding with the 20th anniversary of the organization. The wall Las Memorias AIDS Monument represents a community's resilience to end HIV and its compassion to honor those who we've lost. As the AIDS epidemic continues to impact communities across the world, the wall Las Memorias AIDS Monument provides solace and healing to a community that has lost so many lives to AIDS. In order to end the HIV epidemic, we must remember the tremendous loss of human life that AIDS caused throughout the world. For those who were fighting for the AIDS community, for those who took care of the patients, for those who advocate, for those who lost loved ones, this monument is for you.
Really is beautiful. I hope that you will take the time today to look around and feel the surroundings and really bask in the moment, because what happened today and what is happening today is quite extraordinary. And thank you so much. It's really just a beautiful night all the way around. Well, now it's my pleasure to introduce the man who dreamed what we're seeing here tonight. And every great thing that is achieved in life, it starts with a dream, and then the ability to follow it up with hard work and to bring other people along in your dream. And that's what makes Richard so special. That and his unbelievable hugs. I'm sure a lot of you in this room have had those. He has also created innovative health prevention programs that serve our LGBTQ and Latinx communities. Through fearless leadership and advocacy, he's been able to create a movement of change. His dedication to both the LGBT and Latino community has been recognized by local, state, and international leaders. It was his vision and singular voice that organized and led a community to fight bigotry and stigma around HIV/AIDS in Los Angeles, but especially in the Latino community, where this was not talked about, where often people died alone with their own family members, not able to say the words of why they passed. Think of the loneliness of what they must have felt. But Richard made sure that we had a place where we could all grieve, where we could remember, where we could love, where we could be a community. His passion, his courageousness, his love has transformed our community. He has written the most beautiful story, and you're all helping us to write a new chapter tonight. Please welcome the founder and executive director of the Wallace Memorias, my dear friend, mi hermano, Richard Zaldivar. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all of you who are watching on Plus Life, a streaming service that goes nationwide to the HIV community. You know, it's pretty amazing. I'm still stunned to see all of you, to see the incredible monument, and to see how all of you come together to celebrate. We have over 90 people who volunteered from a number of different organizations today, along with our staff and our board. I'm just overwhelmed. Today, this organization is 28 years old. You know, the monument, as you look behind me, is a very special place. But it wasn't always easy. You know, up the street on Sierra Avenue, right in Hazard Park, is where I first saw a mural of the Virgin Mary. It was about 55 years ago. It was painted by some cholitos in the local community. That mural still stands today, faded but reverent in its own place. And during the holy days, people take candles and flowers because it's a community piece of art. That's where I got the idea of building a monument. It wasn't always easy, though. You know, I went, as Gil said earlier, I went and spoke to a lot of people seeking support. And I went to people many times that didn't want to hear me. I was very persistent. My best friend had shared that he was HIV positive. And I remember how difficult it was for him back in those days. And I didn't want to see anybody go through that again. And so I dedicated my life to this organization. But you know, those hard knocks helped me. And it wasn't until that day that I took one of my board members, Ron Castillo, who had full-blown AIDS, and we went to meet with the mothers of East Los Angeles, of Santa Isabel, who I knew from my past work in the community. And I said, I'm coming to you because we need your support. Ron told them in Spanish, I'm living with AIDS. We need this AIDS monument. And I remember the women sitting around the table in the dining room in Boyle Heights, and the Virgen de Guadalupe is the mural right behind them on the wall. And as they were talking, there was one older woman that kept on going like this. And I said to myself, oh my God, you know, she looks traditional. She's going to come and kick our butt, right? She's going to say, no, we're not going to support you. But she said, yes, I'm educated about HIV because I watched Christina on Channel 34. Yeah. And they unanimously endorsed our project. They represented 38 Catholic parishes on the east side of Los Angeles. And that started the movement. And I went and met with a number of different community groups. And before we got this first monument constructed, there was a band of about 7 to 10 people that were very, very anti-gay and anti-AIDS. And we were dragged through the mud. They came out in forces and demanded public meetings, and we got death threats. My good friend over there sitting to the side, Maria Elena Durazo, who's now an incredible state senator, was there with us. Give her a round of applause, yeah. She came to that meeting with 350 people and says, we need to build this monument. And so we brought labor leaders and communities together. We also started the Latino Men's Group, which was a prevention group where we had 99 men coming in on a weekly basis for a conversation about learning about themselves and accepting about themselves. And we learned from that 99% of those 99 men would come in every 6 months and take an HIV test. I want to thank Councilman Gil Cedillo and LA County Board of Supervisors Hildo Solis for their support. I very much appreciate it. This last Sunday, we honored the caregivers of AIDS at Hollywood United Methodist Church. And it was a very moving ceremony where we thanked people in institutions and organizations and hospitals who took care of AIDS patients. This coming Sunday, we mailed over 40,000 invitations to a number of activities throughout these communities. Over 120,000 people received invitations to another event we're holding on Sunday. It's called Las Posadas here in the park. It starts from 12 to 4. And we're going to have mariachis and DJ, and Las Cafeteras will be playing here, bringing people in to learn more about the AIDS monument. This cannot happen without the support of our tremendous sponsors. I want to thank Gilead, and I'm going to ask all of you to give a round of applause to Gilead for your support as presenting sponsor. I want to thank Dignity Healthcare and USC for their support as sponsors. And all the other sponsors who came through. We could not have done this without you. The sound, the audio, the tents, the food that we're going to have afterwards. You paid for this, and you're sharing this with our community, and I so much appreciate it. Our organization today provides HIV prevention and testing to our LGBTQ community and those at high risk. We provide substance abuse prevention and mental health prevention to the LGBTQ transitional age youth. We also develop leaders in our community. You have seen some of them here tonight. And so as we move forward, I want to ask you, as I thank you, I ask you for your support to continue to support our efforts. Support us as volunteers, support us as donors, support us as sponsors, because we have to put an end to HIV. We have to put an end to bigotry and hatred, homophobia and transphobia, and we can't do it by ourselves. And I want to close. If someone was to ask me, what is the Wallace Memorias? One of my old-time board members who's here tonight, Anna Contreras, and I took some time and wrote a poem. Give a round of applause to Anna. I'll read you the poem. The Wallace Memorias is an eternal monument to honor our loved ones who have died from AIDS. Las Memorias is a place for family and loved ones to be joined by the community. It is here we grieve and restore honor to our dead. It is here we heal and through acceptance destroy denial and ignorance. It is here we awaken to reclaim an understanding of self, ancestry, and culture. It is here we free ourselves from the teaching of guilt. We unite as one people in our vision, our teaching, and our truth. Through truth we live, through knowledge we survive. And I just want to end here as I met a woman who's here tonight. Her name is Norma. I met her on Sunday. And she told me, you know, I put my brother's name on the monument and his partner, but I've never been able to get to the monument because I thought it would be too emotional. To you, Norma, and to all of you who lost someone who's afraid to put a name on the monument, to all of you at home who are remembering your loved one at this moment, I just want to say we built the monument just for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. And now it's a pleasure to ask, he's running late from another event, but I want to tell you that I have known this man for a long time, and he has been an incredible mayor for the city of Los Angeles. He said he would come out because his heart was here. You know, Councilman Cedillo put money into the budget, but it had to be approved by the mayor to say, yeah, we're going to give $500,000 to build this monument. He's truly a visionary, a friend to so many of the underserved members of our community. And we know that soon enough, his title will no longer be mayor, but U.S. Ambassador to India. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mayor Eric Garcetti.
Give it up for Richard Zaldivar another time. AP said it, but he really means it with you. You are truly an angel in the city of angels. Somebody who has inspired me, who, yes, gives the best hugs in Los Angeles, a man who has not only put a vision forward, but worked with a team and a community to do the same. Muy buenas noches a todos. Good evening to everybody. My heart is so filled tonight. It's so full of the love and the sadness and the mix of emotions that we have when we come here. When we look and ask ourselves, what is a city? What is a family? What is community? What is remembering? I've been thinking a lot about that lately because of what we've been through in these last 2 years. And because as a city, we've been trying to do a better job of remembering. Recently, I joined with many folks at Alvera Street where we returned land to our Tongva people so that the birthplace of our city doesn't trace back to 1781, but from millennia before, to say this was first your land. Alongside Chinese Americans and AAPI community members, as we recognized the sadness and formally apologized for the role the city played in the late 19th century in what may be the largest mass lynching in American history, when Chinese Angelenos were singled out and killed in a single night. When I went up to Griffith Observatory, and thank you to volunteers, probably some of whom are here today, where we put 27,000 flags down to mark all of the family members and loved ones we've lost just in the past 20 months. But long before we started looking at those memories, we had something that was a North Star here, a touchstone. The Wallace Memorias I first learned about when I was a new council member. I overlapped for about 2 weeks with then Councilmember Mike Hernandez, and then came in with Councilmember Ed Reyes, who built on what Gil Cedillo, now council member and then assembly member, had done to bring government support behind this. And I chaired a committee that oversaw some of the first city funds coming into this. And it was still at a time of opposition. And in our community, there was tremendous fear. We sometimes single that out because it needs to be said that it exists in our community. But I also saw so many heroes, the ones like Richard was talking about, who came forward, who maybe didn't look like our idea of who would support an AIDS memorial. But I want to thank those neighbors, los vecinos aquí en este vecindario, because they came to say, yes, I want this here in my park. And over the years, as I've seen folks come here, this is of course personal for all of us. For me, the first gay man I knew was my primo, Jimmy. He was my dad's first cousin. His mother, Sarita, was my grandmother Juanita's younger sister. And we grew up around each other. And I remember seeing him with his boyfriends, and even my abuelo, who was an immigrant from Mexico, who was kind of a Reagan Democrat, you know, guy who smoked a lot, who had some conservative views, but had the immigrant experience. He loved him and modeled for me what love was, so that when people would ask about the idea that two men would love each other, or two women, or even how we define ourselves, it was a non-issue. But Jimmy was one of the first people who got AIDS, and he died when I was in college. At a time that I was living in New York, as ACT UP was hitting the streets and I joined, and my kind of teeth were cut in political activism. Maybe one of the reasons I'm here today be because of those brave people who were taking on the drug companies and others, people who were calling this a gay cancer instead of a human disease. And so I remember Jimmy tonight because we lost him, like so many people who are on this wall. And yet when we come here, we haven't lost anybody. They're not with us, materially, physically, but they're absolutely with us here tonight. And the renewal of the physical space here is about the renewal of our memory. That idea that you can die twice, once when you die and second time when people forget you. Well, these folks will never die because we will never forget them. As your mayor, I've been trying to build the idea of what this city stands for, and I've gone through so many iterations of it until a few years ago, I settled on what we were. Yes, we're a diverse place, but I don't like the word diversity because it could describe anything. Inclusive, yes, but inclusion implies somebody has power and they're including you, that we're not equals. What I settled on was the idea of a city of belonging, because it implies equal ownership for all of us, that we all belong here. Gay and straight and bi and trans, white and black and Latinx, Native, API, Pacific Islander, Hawaiian. We all belong here in this, el pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de los Ángeles. Y había mucha vergüenza en nuestra comunidad con la SIDA, ¿no? Es importante para realizar que nuestro futuro es un futuro para todo de nosotros. The shame that exists in our community, we have to overcome because we have to recognize that our future is a shared future. Either we all belong or none of us belong. And the wall, Las Memorias, isn't just writing a story. It has been long before some of us were even here to do so, has been defining this city. So Richard, know long after any titles, and my favorite title isn't mayor, it's Angelino, that I will be here alongside you to lead with the love that you have demonstrated, and with this entire team and this entire community, look around and see your city and remember those who helped build it. Thank you all so much.